following content deals with metaphysical concepts and is not meant to take the place of therapy or to provide life advice. Opinions expressed are those of the guests. All right, we are Spirit Talkers Beyond the Veil. I'm Paula DeMontenay. This is my new podcast series. And I'm very excited to have with me Reverend Nicole Powell. So Reverend Nicole Powell is a spiritual medium. She's a full-time working medium, which is really rare. I know so many mediums that are like part-time mediums, right?
10 years now.
10 years, wow. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Minister of the Two Worlds Spiritualist Church in Nanaimo, and the author of The Power. I'll just show it to you now. Call to Mediumship, which is fabulous read, by the way. I finished it all.
It's a thick read.
Yeah. Lives and works on Vancouver Island. So we are going to jump right in because just want to say her intention, which is beautiful, is to be loving, graceful, and eloquent in her delivery, inspiring, bring understanding and empowerment. So this is perfect. It's a perfect place for you.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So first thing I wanted to say, this was a good read. I really did enjoy it.
Oh, good.
And I was like, I sat down and it was just a nice, somewhat day like this where it was kind of cool, kind of sunny. I thought, oh, good day to start reading. And I got like 100 pages in. I was like, oh my God, what time is it? I gotta get up and do something.
Wow.
So I took a little break.
Yeah.
But I got through quite quickly because I was like, it was a really interesting story.
Cool.
So the first thing I wanted to ask you is, before we get into all the questions that come up in the book, is how did you get into mediumship? What was the call for you?
Okay, so it depends how far back you want me to go, because I don't actually feel that I chose this. I feel that it chose me. Yeah. And from a little girl, I was very highly sensitive. I would talk to animals. I loved the trees and nature. And I had a bit of a learning disability. So I had a hard time, learning how to write and read. So I was always very aware that I was doing things my own way and a little bit differently. But when my best friend died at 19, I was just devastated. And yes, I was always kind of very into spirituality a little bit, but I didn't really think much of it. I thought it was more just a way of life, right? But when she passed away, about 3 months after she died, she came to visit me in my sleep. And I was trying to kind of tune it out because I was in so much grief. And she appeared before me on my bed and she started to shake me. And I asked her to leave. And I was like, please, just go. I know you're dead. I don't want to do this. And she says, well, I have to prove to you that I'm real. So she took my sheets and she reefed it and she threw me off the bed and I hit the floor. And, my mom came into the room wondering what happened. It was midnight and I just said, it was Mary. She was here. She came to let me know she was with me. And my mom just told me to believe it. And so I feel like having parents that were on your side a little bit makes it 100 times more easier to trust, because it was never told to me that it was wrong or dark or anything to be afraid of. So in my dream for a few weeks, she would come and visit me every night and she would take me to the other side and I got to explore the afterlife. And we had a meeting place and a place that we would go, which was on a cliff. And I now believe it would be probably in Ireland, in those cliff areas that we would visit. And she would fill me in about what it was like over there. And she reminded me to live and to just go and live my dreams. And so after those few weeks, my grief melted away. And I had more of a feeling of confidence that it was time to start living my life. And from there, things just started to happen. Now, when I was 22, I had, I would say, a close call where I had appendicitis and I didn't know. And I had it for a long period of time, maybe 2-3 weeks, which is, I don't really know how it's possible because apparently when you get it, it happens right away. But I was in emergency and I was frustrated that I wasn't getting the proper medical care because I'd repeatedly gone to the emergency department. And I remember just lying there and frustrated that I wasn't getting help. And I decided to start praying and asking for help. And at the corner of my eye, this white light started to fill the room. And as I was sitting there, I was like, oh no, this is like a spirit coming to get me, right? And so I remember being like, no, please don't take me. I don't want to go. And it told me that I had a choice. And I was like, okay, well, what is this choice? And it says, well, if you stay here, you're going to have to do this work. And I didn't know what this work was or what they were talking about, but they promised that they would show me. And from that day, I feel like I've just been led and directed in this direction. Now, my health after I got my appendix out was quite rough. I was quite sick and I didn't know how to heal. And so I got really into healthy eating, counseling, things like that would help my body. But it was until I received spiritual healing that I started to know what healing really looked like. So I started studying energy work, energy medicine, how to heal my body, connecting with the non-physical world. And that just opened me right up. And, maybe that wasn't such a normal career path as a 24-year-old, 23-year-old at the time, but for me, it felt like life or death. It was like, if I don't go this way, I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to stay. And if I try and ignore it, it's my life or my health is just going to deteriorate and get worse. So it expanded me and opened me up. And I don't actually remember when it turned on or if it was always there. I feel like my health kind of showed me, and spirits were always kind of in my inner vision. But being able to see spirits, I started noticing that more when I attended spiritualist churches.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were only like 22, 23 when you switched. I know you said you used to be a hairdresser.
Yeah.
That's what I read in the book, right?
Yes.
And that you were living up in Squamish area.
Yeah.
And then you had this sick, that you got ill.
Yeah.
And you had this revelation. And then you went to Langara.
Yeah, I went to Langara College and I took their 3-year integrative energy healing program. It was fantastic. I mean, I learned everything about how to do this work, with integrity, with grounded, learning to work with energy. We studied energy medicine as a whole, almost like at a degree level. And we also got to do case studies, go to pain clinics, addiction treatment centers, and do treatments on people to see and measure their progress as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good program.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. So I got my base from that. And I feel working with energy, things just started to happen. Like the longer I was in the program, the more my third eye opened, the more I could sense the presence of spirit around me. And it started to become normal. Yeah.
So that's the thing, normal, right? Like, what is normal? I know at the end of your book, you do mention, I was going to leave that to last, but we could always bring that up now since we're talking about it.
Yes.
That you said, no more would I ever let anyone tell me, right, who I was or what I was capable of. And then you talk about it starting to be normalized.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I do. I feel that when you jump on the spiritual path, you're going to be tested. You're going to have maybe teachers that will show up for you that are less integral or help you realize where you need to reclaim your worth or your empowerment. And I noticed as a young person stepping into this, I gave a lot of my power away to teachers. And I thought that, they must be, put them on pedestals or see them as better than me or wanting to learn from them, right? And I didn't realize that their words could cut so deep, that their influence or how they saw me would change how I saw myself. But through my growth and learning to connect with the power within me, that started to overcome and change, where I started to listen more to spirit opposed to what somebody else would say to me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And tell everybody, just in case there's people, that are listening or watching that don't know, what is mediumship? Like, what is it?
Well, it's being a bridge between two worlds. So here I am in the physical world. I got 1 foot anchored into this present world. And I also have 1 foot in the spirit world. So as a medium, I'm a bridge between worlds. And I'm able to communicate and bring through messages from loved ones who've passed on or from guides and helpers, and be able to deliver those messages that are evidential so that the person knows it's really them, and bring through it with the power of love.
A couple things there. What does evidential mean?
Oh, good question. So evidential mediumship means that I'm able to bring through information that's undeniable. that I'm able to bring through information that is recognizable for the person to be like, yes, that's my mom. Yes, that's my dad. Just like I have a mother here and she has a mole on her left cheek. You'd be like, oh, that's my mother, right?
Right, yeah.
So how would I know that? It's ungoogleable. Couldn't find it on Facebook. I'm not reading an obituary. And evidential mediumship is a way for people to get proof of the afterlife. And for me, I felt that it really strengthened my conviction, because there's a time where I'm like, oh, am I making this up? And where's this information coming through? But when I started being able to bring through evidential information and the person was saying yes, and there's no way you can know that, then I'm going, okay, there's some legitimacy to what it is that we're doing. And I don't really want to dance around and tell people what to do with their life unless I can actually prove that I have their loved one and that they're actually delivering the message.
And I love that. You mentioned that in the book too, and I thought that's brilliant, because we are here to bring the messages from spirit. We're their voice, right?
Yeah, we're their voice. And we're here to represent them first, right? And it's so easy to make up things. I mean, we see it on TV, YouTube all the time. It's like, oh, spirit's telling me this, but it's like, are they? So if we can have a way that's legit to say, yes, I do have a loved one, and yes, that is correct, and yes, they did do that, and yes, they have that mole on their face or that black cat that they had, and they will take it more seriously when you're able to deliver something, which to me makes it real. And that's why I feel that this is very normal, is because unless I can do that first, I don't really think it's going to go far,
Yeah. I like it. In the book, you mentioned the one example where the woman had their very religious mother.
Oh,
who was, tell us that story.
Okay, I'm going to go red even talking about it. So I was at the Spiritualist Center in Nanaimo, Two Worlds, and I was doing a demonstration of mediumship, which is part of the service. And I was very aware that I had a mother with me and that she was coming to speak to her daughter. And so I found her daughter in the audience really quickly, and I started bringing through information. And what was apparent was that her mother was very religious, and that she chose her religion over her family time and time again. And it was hurtful for her kids. And I remember being up there and just feeling like, wow, okay, her mom's still religious. She still believes this way, even though she's in spirit. But she really wanted to apologize to her daughter. And her daughter got it, and she was nodding her head. And at the end, I don't know what came over me, but I laughed and I said, if your mom was here, she'd think we were doing the devil's work. And I felt her mother slap me across the face. I actually physically felt my face go like that. It was burning red. It was like tingling, like as if someone slapped me. And I had to hold my face. And I said, your mother just slapped me across the face. And she was a little bit like, oh my God. And she nodded her head, and I'm going, what does that mean? And I quickly ended the demonstration and sat down and felt like the biggest idiot, like what came over me to say that? And after the service, the woman came up to me and thanked me for bringing through her mother. And she said, my mother slapped anyone that ever discarded her religion. And she says, that was the proof I needed to know that it was really my mom. And I thought, oh, okay, thank God. Because when you're doing mediumship, sometimes it feels like you're so out of the way that things come through that your normal self would never do. So you get kind of caught up in the moment. But one of my deals with spirit is like, just use me, like take over, say what you need to say. I'm not going to edit myself. Give them what they need. And sometimes that can mean that I'm putting myself on the line when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That was a great example. When I read that, I was like, oh yeah. Because I know when I do mediumship, sometimes I'm with clients, I'll say things that not my lingo, not my dialect.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the heck is that? And they laugh. They're like, Dad said that all the time.
All the time.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can think of many examples of things like that. Like the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, or I don't know, things that just so not your slang.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. And you're going, huh? I just said whatchamacallit.
Whatchamacallit?
I don't say whatchamacallit. Stuff like that. And they're like, oh yeah, Mom said that all the time, or Dad said that all the time, or whoever. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Or I'll start lecturing and I'm like, I'm not like you got to live resourcefully and, you got to live within your means, and I'll get really like dictatorship. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this isn't me. I'm actually pretty carefree.
Exactly.
I'm not going to tell you how to live. So
I know. I love that. That is great evidence too, right?
yeah, because when you see the demeanor change and your hands start doing things and the way you direct energy, you realize that something has taken over. And it's not about what's said, it's the feeling.
Yeah.
Right? And so when someone's receiving a mediumship reading, they may think they're waiting for those key words and, once you say mom's nickname for me, then I'll know for sure. But when you start standing a certain way and moving your body and looking at them and, then they go, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling my mom. My mom's actually here. Yeah. And that's the healing.
Yeah. And okay. 2 things there. I love that you said that because this is all what you wrote. And I don't even have to look at the book because you're going through it. It's awesome. Because I love that you said that because I find that lots too is that the hand movements, the demeanor, the lingo, and sometimes people will say, oh my God, I feel their presence.
Yes.
And that's, I get chills whenever they say that. It's like, I'm glad you could feel them because I feel them. So I'm happy you could feel them because then they know for sure without a doubt
that they're here. Yeah. And this is a reunion, right? Because it takes 3 to bring this to life. And
power of 3.
The power of 3, yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah. So when you're doing mediumship, it takes 3. So the medium has to be a clear vessel, vibrating on the state of love. They have to be open enough to receive the information from the unseen world. So that's 2. And they have to be willing to communicate, and you have to let go so that whoever's there can come through. No agenda from the medium. Yep. And then the third is the sitter or the client. And they don't realize how important they really are. They're playing a vital role in how much can actually come through in a mediumship reading. Because if their energy is like this, you're literally blocking flow. I will start stuttering and I'll try and I'll hit walls. But when they're open, it just flows. Yeah. And when they're out of the way of, they have to say this, then I'll know, then it can just channel through. And it can be, over the top, right? Yeah. But it's that 3, working in union. And I say something will just take over at some point and it'll become timeless, right? And usually that's what happens. And it's never what we think. It's never what we agendized, right? It just comes. Yeah. And I feel that it's a feeling that happens as well too. So they're able to kind of sense spirit, feel spirit, and their heart warms. And usually, we go through a box of Kleenex.
Yeah.
And they go, I didn't know I was going to cry. It's like, if you held that back, it would have held back the reading.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I always say. If I make them cry, I know I've done my job.
Totally. Yeah, my friend used to say, snot and tears.
Totally. I believe that. I even had my mom's never let me do a reading for her. And I don't usually read for family, but just one day she just felt like it and she was being open to it. That's the thing. She'd never had a reading where her loved ones have come through for her, so she never believed it. Yeah. But she started to believe because I believe. Yes. So she sat down and had a reading with me and she was tears. Oh, wow. Because I said, because now she's open and she's that number 3, right? Yeah. Being open and allowing.
Open and allowing. And it's not the amazing power of ancestry is when you became open, she just naturally became more open too. And nothing had to be said. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. And then there's a lot of people, I know people probably listening and watching too that are going, it's all a bunch of hooey, right? It's like, but because we know it's not, it's like, how can you really prove it? I know mediumship is about proving the existence of life beyond this 3D realm, right?
Yes.
So how can we prove that to people?
Right. Well, spiritualism is all about proof, right? It's a science. And, it's here to help bring you into that state of let's measure it. Let's check the math for everything, right? It's like no message until you give me the evidence. Let's be able to see what's really happening first. And so that's what I love about spiritualism in that essence is that we're not just kind of saying stuff and asking people to believe, but you do have to believe first, right? Because if you're convinced that it's not real, you're going to build up evidence for it. And it doesn't really matter what you believe, you can make that real, But the only thing real is love. So if you're open to that and willing, it can become that much more powerful and you can start to see it everywhere, right?
Yeah, and you said that in here too, everything real is love, and I love that. And it also made me think, we're talking about, energy and quantum physics.
Yeah, we are.
Right?
Yeah.
When you start to break things down, and this is what I love about life recently and finding out all these new things, is that science is starting to back what metaphysical society and what people, spiritualists, have said for years.
Yes.
I'm like, wow.
They
See,
are.
they've been saying that. Our ancestors and people that started all this work have been saying this, and now you're finally caught up, right?
Yeah.
I find it fascinating.
And it's kind of like Einstein. It's like you can believe or not believe, or everything's a miracle and nothing's a miracle. It's totally up to you. How do you choose to see the world?
Yeah.
And I feel at this time in our world, like right now, it's sink or swim. Like if you choose not to believe and shrink yourself, it's a scary world out there. And it's going to get really dark really fast. But if you choose to open yourself up into the possibility that there's more and start to open yourself to see it, you can lift yourself up and you can live in an entirely different universe. And you can't unsee once you know it. It's like looking at a picture and someone points out where Waldo is. You cannot unsee Waldo once you've seen Waldo.
Yeah.
So you can't go backwards.
Yeah.
It's a one-way ticket.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. And I agree that I think it's going to be a choice.
It's a choice. It's always a choice.
Yeah. And people can decide. And going back to the quantum physics part of it is really like you're saying that the universe will always prove you right.
Yeah.
So if you do not believe in something,
right.
it's going to say you're right.
Yeah.
And if you do believe, it's going to say you're right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
which one do you want to believe? Is the glass half full or half empty? It's your choice, right? And if you want to be happy and live in a world filled with love, the universe will demonstrate that for you. But if you want to believe that this is an untrusting place where you need to divide and conquer and nothing is real, my God, I don't want to live in that head. That's scary.
Yeah.
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 But you can make that really real.
Yeah. You have to believe something when you're manifesting, right? You have to believe it and feel it before it will show up.
Absolutely.
And it's like a lot of people have a really hard time with that.
Yeah. Live in the wish fulfilled.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it makes sense once you start to practice it.
But it's all about letting go, right? Because a lot of times when people have their agenda, it's because they want to control the reading, right? It's like, no, I want my husband to come through. I don't want my mother here. Yeah. You must be a very vague medium if you're not picking up on him, And it's funny. It's like, who do you think's in control here?
Yeah.
And if they let go of what they feel needs to happen, there's so much magic that can pour in.
Thank you for saying that, because I've been saying this to people for years, and especially now, I've been channeling a lot with my guides doing trance mediumship, and they're always talking about magic.
Yes.
And how people need to see magic.
They need it.
And I'm like, why? But now I'm seeing it everywhere for myself. I'm going, if people could experience this, they would be so excited for life and so happy and lit up.
Because when you're a child, everything's magical. Yeah. You remember going to your grandmother's house and how everything was cool? And like, oh my God, the secret rooms and magic. And when you're an adult, you crave that innocence of a child. But what you don't realize is that's available to you today. Yeah. You don't have to be a child to go back to that. You can bring that light back into your life. And you just have to ask for more magic and it will appear. So
I'm curious then, just tell me a magical instance that you may have had, like something that you could think that, that was amazing and that was magic.
Magic? Okay. I'm going to talk about the story of manifesting our house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a few years ago. It was during the pandemic when, 20 bids were going on a house and it was insane. People were overbidding 150,000 or whatever, just Vancouver Island, right? And we needed a house. We had to move. We were ready to move and we couldn't find anything. So I went to this 5-day silent retreat in California. And I remember the facilitator was going around going, what's your intention? Everyone's like, oh, more love, more grace, or, just like a relaxation. She gets to me and I said, I want a new house. And she's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, I do. And she's like, okay. So we went into the silence and I held that intention. I visualized it. I saw it. I became it. I heard the river down the stream. I could feel the energy of the home. And we did this intention circle where 8 people sat around me and I was in the middle and they just intended this for me. And it just, like, I could just feel it becoming real. Wow. I feel it was within 5 days of coming home from that retreat, the house was on the market and I saw it. And I thought, there it is. And I said, okay, next I have to bend reality so that nobody gets to that house before us and overbids an outrageous price. And it just so happened to be a long weekend. Everyone was away. So we wrote a letter and we did all that about that this is our dream home and what we really wanted. And we got it. And I remember we weren't the top bid. There was multiple people that put offers in, but because of the feeling the person had of our genuinity, they wanted us to have it too.
Yeah.
And from the day of that retreat to the day we moved in was 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I feel that houses are magical that way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's funny because that's almost identical to my story.
Is it?
With this house.
Wow.
Yeah, almost identical. Because I knew I was going to move. I didn't know where on the island exactly I was going to move to, but I knew Spirit kept telling me I had to move to the island.
Yeah.
And I've been saying that for a couple of years. And finally I gave in. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll move to the island.
Yeah.
Begrudgingly.
Yeah.
But before that, like 6 months before, I tried to sell my townhome and I had 3 offers fall through.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to move. Mm-hmm. And then came the spring and I said, okay, I'll go look again. Mm-hmm. So we came over and I said, I'll move to the island if I see a whale.
Oh.
On the way back, I saw a whale.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Saw the whale. And then my realtor, everything she showed me I didn't like. And I was like, no. And then I saw a photo of this house and I went, oh. And I did that. That's my house.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, shoot, that's my house.
Yeah.
I got to get to it. And it was a long weekend.
Yeah.
There was one other bid.
Yeah.
Only one, thank goodness. And we were similar, but I wrote a letter.
Yeah.
And I said, I will preserve your house. I will restore it to its original beauty because it needed a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I said, I love it.
Yeah.
And she gave it to me. I was just like,
isn't that perfect?
Yeah.
Where you live is so important. You know what I mean? I just feel that it can hold the energy.
You said being connected to yourself is not a gift. It's a life skill.
It's a life skill.
So explain that.
Okay. So back in the olden days when we didn't have technology or phones, we would just feel things, right? And we would just know. But in this current reality, we have texts, we have phones, we have computers. Everything's so instant that sometimes we get lazy and we don't use our intuition. Right? But people will say to me, they're like, oh, I felt when my sister was pregnant or something like that. I'm like, that's intuition. That's just life skill. Like it's nothing special. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a good thing that you can do that,
right?
Because it means you're listening and you're following through and you're telling, and then it's validating. And the more you get validated that you're accurate, the more you receive. And a lot of intuition is using our senses. So we feel it, we see it, we know it, we trust it. But we turn that off as we get older because we get conformed through, teachers, media, whatever, right? Or like put into boxes a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it's just a reminder that was always there,
I believe that. Yeah, I believe that for sure. Mm-hmm. It's like somebody said, when somebody's had an argument and you walk into the room, you can still feel it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Or when somebody's smiling but they're angry, it's like, oh, they're fake, right? I think that's you could call that wisdom, intuition, but reading energy, right? Mm-hmm. There's so much more beyond the physical. Our auras extend out over 7 feet.
And I know people always say, what's the difference between like a natural medium and somebody that learns? Is that a thing?
Yeah. So there's born mediums. So people that have it hereditary, like 3rd generation, or you brought it in with you from another life, right? Then there's those that have crises or lost a loved one and it almost activates it or turns it on. I've seen this people who've had major health challenges or overcame like cancer or something. All of a sudden they have this extrasensory, right? It's like a gift that they got through it. And then the third is immersion, right? And that's where you can learn it. But I feel you really have to get into it. Like you have to shift your beliefs that it's possible. You have to hang around those people. You have to study it. You have to read about it. You have to watch it. You have to practice. And usually over time, which will happen, it will just pop open. And you can't make a medium, but when you immerse in it, Spirit will decide when you're ready to receive that gift.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen that with my students. Sometimes it'll take 2 years. And then I just feel it's the dedicated ones that get it. It's not the ones that come once and go, oh, I'm not a medium, I can't do this. And I'm like, oh, give it up too easily.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we also can't control what kind of medium we're going to be. because there's so many faculties in mediumship. There's trance, there's channeling, there's healing, there's intuitive guidance, there's prophecy, there's evidential mediumship, right? I mean, there's physical. Like, there's so many different ways. So when you're developing, you just allow whatever gifts that need to arrive through you. But you don't say, I want this and I'm going to do this, right? Too controlling. Yeah.
That is so true. And I know that's true because I've always been fascinated with physical mediumship. And I always thought, I would love to do that. And I've taken so many circles and so many things. Yeah. And then I find out, you know, throughout years of practice, but where I shine is trance communication. And now I'm doing psychic surgery. I'm like, what is this? And they're like, this is what you're going to do from now on.
This is your gift. This is what we gave you. At this time with so many people sick, I mean, psychic surgery is a huge... Thank you.
Next question. Okay. I like this question because I've had people ask this. Is like they're so afraid, right? They're so afraid to tune in and they're afraid to develop because they say, well, what if I get evil spirits or what if it's all very negative? And I love here that you said you get to make a choice, like listening to the radio station, right?
Totally. I mean, this is all non-physical energy around us.
Yeah.
It's right here. It's not out there, you know? And so we set our intentions for everything. If you set an intention at the beginning of the day, it's going to go much better than if you go whatever, right? So when opening up, you have to recognize that the only thing real is love. So when you're tuning into that and you choose to see that, it will come through, it will gush through in more love than you're able to even handle, right? And we have to decide, where are we going to put our energy? Are we going to, because if we're watching a lot of serial killer shows and negative horror movies, that's imprinting your mind, right? So it's conditioning you to believe that that's the world you see, right? But when you take that away and choose to see with love, I mean, it's just eminent, overwhelming the amount of love. Yeah. And, you know, use the power of prayer to be able to ask for that assistance and help and recognize that you are that powerful, because you're the physical body in this world, right? So you're the avatar and it's just an open play box around you. But with your intention, you get to decide what channels through. You can't decide like the exact information and how you're going to receive it, but your intention allows it to come together in that bridge.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, so let's talk about grounding, because I know with a lot of my clients, they just feel like they're so in the air and they're floating up here all the time and they're not in their bodies. And I always tell them, do something you like to do. If that's what's going to ground you, like go swimming, go for a walk, dance, whatever. Just get out of your head and get into your body and just, right? Yeah. What's the importance of grounding?
It sets you free, right? I mean, if you can be in your body and with yourself and feel that and be okay, you're free. And so when you connect to spirit and are grounded, you know that you are here, present in this life, and also open to a higher source. So if you're just floating in the sky, like I said, you're open to too many different channels and too many different things. That's how you get anxiety, you get fear, you make things real, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So whatever you put your attention on grows. And it disconnects you from this world. And when you pass and go through your life review, the first thing you're going to find out is this life is all about joy. Right. And if you never really lived, you're going to want to come back and get it right this time, right? So I think that's one of the reasons why we keep coming back. But also, if you're grounded, you're actually able to be present in this world. And you can be here now, in this moment. So it's vital in mediumship development, in quality of life. I feel like we actually get less injuries when we're grounded, because a lot of times when we stub our toe, it's like, whoa, I'm not here, I'm not present, something was just reminding me, right? And it's like, get here now, stop, get your head out of the clouds. And there's a real misconception. You see like people coming back from festivals and they're connected to higher sources. And it's like, but are they? Because they're so far out of their body, what they're bringing through doesn't make sense, right? If we're going to be channels of spirit and we're going to be mediums, we have to bring it through in a way that makes sense. And so that people can hear you, because that's healing. And mediumship is a feeling. So if you're in your body, you can feel it coming through in this moment and present. And that's how you know you can be a clear vessel for the information channeling through.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to say at Langara, ground, center, and align. Before we did anything, we would go like this, and we'd have to be in our bodies, present, centered to our central channel, and aligned in our energy. Then we know we could start our work. But if we were all over the place and then tried to tap in, we may be bringing all that junk with us into whatever we're doing. And it's like a foggy glass of water. It's like you're not seeing through it clearly. Yeah. Misinterpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that too about having to be grounded, having to be here in this world to be able to do the work.
You have to. Yeah. Because that's the only way you're going to get anywhere. You don't heal by being out of your body. You heal by being present and feeling. And then the energy moves, and then you expand. And then you're like, okay, now I'm on to the next thing. But if there's anything that you cannot feel or be with, it will have power over you. And it will control the way you see the world. So it'll actually block you and hold you back from being here, present in this life.
Yeah. That brings up two major things.
Yeah.
One is power of now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk about the importance of being here in the now.
Yeah.
And the other one's healing.
Yeah.
Like, this is all about healing. This isn't about, you mentioned it, it's not about ego. It's not about, trying to impress somebody. This is to help people heal.
Yeah. Grief is horrific. It's one of the lowest emotions we can feel on the vibration scale. Doesn't mean it's bad or it's wrong, but it literally means that if you can feel this will be the greatest catapult of your life. Like you will literally be cracked open if you choose to be with it. And it can shift the direction of your life and the course of your life and what you even evolve into. Right? Yeah. And one of the reasons we come to this earth plane is because we can feel here and we can have these human experiences of contrast. Maybe we don't have that elsewhere, right? Yeah. I mean, on the other side in the spirit world, it's all loves, but when we come here, we feel it all, right?
Yeah. So that would make sense. I mean, if you look at it in terms of the here and the now and people talking being presence, like Eckhart Tolle doing the power of now, right? I never really got it. I read the book and I was like, I get the pain body one. The pain body chapter 5, I was like, yes, I get that. Because there's so much that we hold in our bodies. Yeah. Right? We hold the muscles, memories, and the cells. They hold everything. Past traumas. Yeah. And just trapped emotions. And I think that's where a lot of our pain comes from.
Absolutely. Like it's energy that's stuck and lodged. And it's unable to move. And so pain is information. It gets our attention that, hey, something's going on here. I need you to take a look at this. Yeah. Right?
I wish everybody could know that and know what works for them to dislodge it.
And we have to work with the mind, body, soul. So it's not just the emotions. It's not just the physical. We can't disconnect it. We're not mechanics, right? So we have to work together. And that's what, there's even studies on forgiveness therapy and cancer research and how connected they really are. And I feel that that's vital because as a medium, you have to learn how to let energy move, right? And you have to be able to dislodge certain aspects of where it's stuck in the body. And when people are sitting in front of me receiving mediumship, they're not only hearing what I'm saying, they're feeling it, and energy's moving, right? And then that's why they have the release and they cry and they go, I don't know what just happened, but I feel better. Yeah. And I explained that in the book when I had my first mediumship reading, like with a one-to-one sitting. Yeah. And in 10 minutes, someone had dramatically shifted my life when it had spent more than 10 years trying to heal this, going to therapy or trying to fix my life, right? But a medium did what nobody else could do. Yeah. In 10 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, there's something for everybody, I say. If the intention is there, and you talk about intention too. Yes. The intention is there to do the healing. The modality that you need, I think, is going to come to you. Absolutely. And that's how I end up getting people too. It's like, it's usually word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Reviews, word of mouth. That's the whole thing. So
like, they help me, so maybe they can help
you. And I'll see that someone will have a friend that's in grief and they're like, oh, I went to a medium and I felt so much better. Maybe you should do that. And someone's like, I'm in so much pain, whatever. I'll do whatever it takes. Because a lot of people will say to me, like, I never considered a medium until I lost somebody I loved. And it's like, yeah, now you have purpose. I may have been weird to you 5 years ago, but now you need my services.
I I love that. It may be weird to you. I know, that's what I always say. I'm so weird, I'm a medium, and then I'm a trance communicator, and then I'm a psychic surgeon healer. I'm like, I'm just getting weirder and weirder. And then I'm like, you know what? Who cares?
Keeps life interesting.
It does. It's fun.
It totally is.
And then I get to talk to people about it.
Yes, and Vancouver Island is like a hot box.
Yeah.
Like I've traveled the world and I go, there's something different about the energy here.
Yeah, what is that? Can you explain it? Do you have an idea?
So I was born and raised on Vancouver Island. I live in Victoria, and like I said, this was always kind of normal.
Yeah.
Never thought it was voodoo or weird or woo woo. I didn't even know what that term was. But when I moved away and lived in different places, I noticed that it was maybe less open. So I kind of like closed it down a little bit. But when I moved back here, because Spirit told me if you want to be a medium or want to be a healer, you're going to have to move back to Vancouver Island and go where you're from. Mm. That's where you're going to put your shingle up and run your business. So I listened and I did. And I remember the second I moved back here, I was like, oh my gosh, this place is so activated. Like I would see all these energy moving around, and I noticed how open people were. And there was something about the circumference of the water and the rock here. Oh. I actually heard, and a shaman told me that when everything broke off, it went to Peru, Hawaii, and Vancouver Island and Salt Spring. And the rest of Canada has different rock. That makes perfect sense to me because it just feels different.
Huh. I have to look into that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I know when I was called to come here, I had no intention of coming to Vancouver Island. I'm kind of like, I visited here a few times. Yeah. And I went, it's nice. And I liked it. But I didn't think I'd actually be living and working here.
Right.
So I was also in the film industry. So that's where it was happening. Was Vancouver, right? Yeah. But as soon as things started to shift in my life, I had a major accident. I had a healing crisis. And things started to really shift and move. And I went, I have to get out of here. Yeah. You have to listen. Right? Gotta listen. Yeah, and look how it's changed your life. It's amazing. And now it's almost like you're here. You're like, why would I want to live anywhere else? Yeah. It's paradise, right? And then I know you mentioned that too, about having to listen, right? And when you do listen to your intuition, yes, that's really important. Like, why is that so important? Because when we don't listen to our intuition, that's how we end up in situations that we wonder how we got into or why things are so difficult and hard and nothing else works for me and I'm such a victim and poor me, right? But we're always being told if we listen. Like, I don't want to be hard on people that don't listen because sometimes it's trauma that stops us and cuts us off from being able to hear, right? But I do believe it's like we know when people are good for us or not good for us, because they either light us up or they shrink us down, right? We know when a place is good for us because it feels good to be there. And it doesn't always have to be hard. And usually we get a pull or guided, and it doesn't always make sense logically, but to the feeling space or the heart, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And if you choose to listen, I feel like it's almost like you get gifts and rewards. But when you... Like a video game. Yeah. It's like, you're going the right way. It's like treats, right? It's like, here, keep going this way. But when you go, no, it doesn't make sense, logic, that's your free will, cuts in, that's fine, no problem with that. But you may just take a detour and have a longer way or a harder way to get there, right? I see it all the time with clients. I'll be like, he's not good for you, right? They're like, yeah, I know. I'm like, but you just want to play it out. And they're like, yeah, I do. And it's almost like that free will part of us just wants to see what would happen, or see if we can control reality or shift it, make something the way we want it. But intuition, it will always guide you. It really will. And it'll lead you to the right people, places, and things. And that's always my intention. Spirit use me, guide me to the right people, places, and things. Mm-hmm. I want to stay out of it. I don't want to control this. I just want to show up where you need me. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And what's the kind of like the best ways for people to tap into their intuition? First thing I would say, you need like some kind of meditation practice or an ability to sit with yourself, right? To focus on your breath, to be with you, and to use your power of intention or even prayer to just start to guide you, right? It's like getting back to basics. Can I be here present in this moment? Eyes open, eyes closed. Take a deep breath, be in my body, ground. Mm-hmm. And now, okay, what's my intention? I want to open up with grace, with ease, right.
and I want to do it with a place of love. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I have people say to me, I can't meditate.
Yeah, I get that a lot too. I think about it. I can't meditate either after 2 cups of coffee in the middle of the afternoon. My
Right.
mind would be bouncing all over the place. But if I get up first thing in the morning, I can meditate because I haven't checked my phone and it's silent. Or later in the afternoon when I'm starting to kind of unwind, it's easier. But I find if I set a practice, and it's kind of like running, if I do 5 minutes and then 10 minutes and then 20 minutes, you build up. You don't try and run a marathon on your first try. Right? And, guided meditations, focus point meditations, there's different ways we can do it. Even walking meditations, just leaving your phone at home and going for a walk and being present.
Yeah.
Even art, painting, and just not putting on any distractions. That's just how we're teaching ourselves to get into the zone.
Yeah.
And when you can get into it, you'll miss it when it's not there because it's such a sweet spot. It feels so good that you want more of it in your life. And for me, it's become one of my favorite times of the day because that's the space I get to be with the Creator.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody who mentioned that, somebody that I was speaking to had said that is sometimes it can be addictive, right?
Yeah.
You get into the point where you don't want to leave that sweet spot, and it's hard to come back. So some people get too caught in that.
Yeah.
And that sometimes it can be such an addiction that they don't want to be in this world.
Yeah.
But it's so important to be in this world.
world.
We're here for a reason.
Yeah. And that's why I can't do mediumship from 9 to 5 every day. I can't see straight if I do it too long. And it does start to pull you from your physical and take you in. And that's why you got to be that bridge. But there is a line that you have to be wary of, because if you spend too much time in the unseen world, it's going to pull on your health or your physical, right? And you got to find that balance between worlds.
And that, you mentioned that, I was reading that chapter where you were talking about you start to do what is it called when you start to learn how to be a minister?
My ministry training.
Yeah, doing your ministry training. And the Reverend then, Diane, she told you to be careful of your health.
She did. And so she loved the idea that I was drawn to ministry, but she also loved me enough to be afraid for me of like what could happen, right? And her experience was that she noticed, as well as in her own experience, that a lot of mediums that stepped on the path of ministry were tested in their health. And I thought, I've already done that. Like I already had my close call with my appendix. I'm all good. And I thought maybe I could shift things so I didn't have to go through that again. But it did happen. And I was kind of mad. But in hindsight, I got is that being in this world is precious and you need to find balance. And if you ignore your health or ignore being here, it's going to test you, right? And so I was put to the test with my health again, this time with my gallbladder. But in hindsight, what I realized is it was just trying to help me find balance in my health and my life so that I could be a present person walking in this world, living a normal life, as well as a medium, and have that normal too. Yeah. But if I tried to overexert one or the other, it would take over and dominate, and it would affect me physically. Yeah.
So what do you say to people? Like I remember when I first started developing as a medium back in 2013, there was some people in my development circle that would never close. They would never, what I call close for business, right?
Yeah.
They were always open. And I found they would get a little strange. Yeah. And they would do things like talk to people in the line in front of them at the grocery store and say, your mom's here, darling. And I'm like, that is not right.
No, it's not.
That is unethical. What do you feel about all that? Like, how can somebody protect their own energy field and not be bombarded all the time?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I have visiting hours. So it's like when I work, I'm open. And then when I'm done work, I close. Spirit is always connected to me, but I'm not always connecting to loved ones in spirit. It's not ethical to walk up to somebody not knowing their beliefs or anything and just start pushing that. I mean, we don't like it when Jehovah's Witnesses come to our door. So why would I would hate it if someone was just pounding me on the shoulder saying, I got your grandmother here, especially if she was coming from a place of fear. I mean, you have to be so careful what you say to people because it can get ingrained in their head and then it could either help them or hinder them, right? But with mediumship, it's a discipline. You have to learn how to turn it on and how to turn it off, and you have to know the difference. But if you're a wide open channel, you're, again, the foggy glass, you are connected to too many different things, and it's going to hurt you physically, your mental health. You can start to be over open, and psychosis can start to happen. And I mean, that's a big reason why people don't want to develop mediumship, is they just don't even want to be on the spectrum of anywhere to tap into any kind of psychosis, right? But if you can learn how to do this with discipline, intention, you get all your power back. Yeah. And I mean, if you said, Nicole, do mediumship, I would just shift my awareness into the spirit world and I could do it, but then I could shift back and have this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how it gets a bad rep, right? It's like, that's why it's weird. No one wants to be that crazy person, right? And it's a fear that you tap into when you start to develop, going, I don't want to lose myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think people have to start teaching that more, because I think of all the circles I've been in, and I've been in a lot, and I don't remember anyone ever saying that. You can close for business. You don't have to be on all the time.
Oh, no.
And I've met so many mediums here. There's a group of women that I've met that they're all mediums, and they're always bombarded by the energy, and they can't sleep, and they're a little bit anxious. And I said, just close for business. And she looks at me like I'm crazy,
Yeah.
What?
I said, don't be dramatic.
Yeah. Put your close for business sign up. They won't bother you if you say, I'm not open to you right now.
Yeah.
When I'm ready to communicate, I will open.
Absolutely. And it's all boundaries. I mean, we don't let people bang on our front door all hours of the day. We know that it's disrespectful to show up at someone's house at 10 o'clock at night, right?
Yeah.
So why would we allow that in spirit? Some people just don't know that that's a thing and that they have to be taught, just like how they have to be taught boundaries with humans. But I mean, it's a lot like just training. It's about becoming a disciplined medium, and it's like, I'm here, I'm present, I'm living a normal life. And that's what they want. They want you to live normally, but you are in control with how open or closed you are. And you're going to bring through much more information that's meaningful, integral, when you choose to do it in like certain areas of time or focus. Because it's like you're harvesting that power, that energy for that moment. And we are like a battery charger. So when we're connecting to spirit, we have to build up that power to hold the connection. And if you aren't doing that from your built up power, you start to pull on your own physical energy, and that's how you get sick.
Right.
And so you start to drain your battery and you get really ill, and your information stops being accurate. And I know from experience that if I start pulling from me, the information isn't coming through with accuracy anymore, and I have to stop. It's like, oh, close for business. I went past my opening hour of what I can hold the power for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's addictive. It feels really, really good to be connected to spirit, but too much of anything isn't good.
Yeah. No, I particularly love that, because I know when I'm on and I know when I'm off.
Yeah.
And I know when I'm bringing from me and when I'm not, because you feel it physically.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, wait a second. That wasn't, them bringing through the message, because when they bring it through, I feel alive. I feel light. I feel happy. I feel invigorated. And when it's me, it's like I'm being drained.
Yes. You're being drained.
Yeah. So you have to be careful of that.
You have to come back and rein it in. You have to tuck in the wings, And sometimes people use it as a sense of authority, that they are more gifted or more spiritual than everybody else. But I mean, that's ego.
Yeah.
Right? You're not coming from a higher source. Is this work loving? Is it serving humanity? Is it for the highest and best good?
Yeah.
And is it good news? Is it helping somebody? Right? Otherwise, you're just installing fear and making it worse. And I mean, every profession has good and the bad and the quacks and the ones that are integrity. I mean, and if you're going to do this, it's like, do it from a higher source with love, with integrity. You're always in control. Like I said, you're the physical body, so you get to decide to open or close. But you have to know to do that, because you're not a victim of energy. Yeah. And sometimes that can be a wake-up call to people. It's like, I'm not a victim to energy. I'm not just always open. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in control.
You're in control.
And I love, Wayne Dyer used to say, ego is edging God out.
And
I always love that.
Me too.
Because then when I think about that, when I'm doing a session or something, I'm like, am I edging God out here?
Yeah.
Huh.
I say exactly the same thing. Yeah. And you're not always going to be pleasing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, people ask me questions all the time. And a lot of time I just say, I don't know. Like, are we in a session right now? Or am I giving you my undivided attention? Am I connected to source? Am I like streaming in?
Holding space to rest. Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay. I have no idea where that term came from. Someone asked me, they're like, did someone teach you that? I'm like, I don't even know. It just came.
It's beautiful because I was like, totally resonated with me.
Oh, good. Okay. So the holding space. I've often noticed that a loved one in spirit passes who had a difficult life or addiction or suicide or even health problems that really hurt them. When they pass over, they will go to this place of just pure love where they're held. It's like a cocoon. They can just cozy up. They don't have to think. They can just rest, and they're just surrounded in love. And when they're in that holding space, no matter how many mediums you try and go to try and get them to bring them through, it's like it doesn't really happen. You know, it's like pulling information that's not there.
Yeah.
You may get half bits, but not full story. So I've started to call it the holding space. I'm like, oh, they're in the holding space. They're surrounded in love, but, you know, closed for business, right?
Yeah.
And I noticed that in readings, like people will ask, like, where are they? And it's like, well, they're this place. And when they're finished there, they may continue their afterlife because it's evolution of the soul. Just like here, when we're never done, you're never done on the other side either. And so there's times when it's like they're all around and they can't wait to communicate, and you're getting signals in your home, like you're finding feathers and dimes and the lights are flickering. It's like, oh, someone's trying to come through. And then there's times where it's crickets and you feel nothing. And I feel like they're back in the holding space or they're resting.
Yeah, I like that. And when I read that, I was like, because I've had clients come in, you know, my husband just passed a month ago, and I'll try and connect. And it's like, I'm not getting anything. I'm sorry. They're probably not available at the moment.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't know what to call it. I'm like, come back in a couple months. Yeah. We'll try again, you know.
Yes.
And then I've had other people that have come. As soon as they walk in the door, the lights start flickering. I'm like,
they're
your
ready.
husband's here.
Yeah. He's here.
I'm like, okay, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
He says hello.
Yeah.
You know, I describe him.
Yeah.
And they're like, yep, I know that's him, because he always makes my lights flicker too. I'm like,
And the example I use in that story is I'm doing a service at the Couch in the Spiritualist Church, and I'm bringing through a spirit that I knew that she had just passed. Like she told me, I had just passed, I need to speak to somebody, bring this, and this through. And so I found the person in the audience, and I said, you know, this person just passed. And it was his wife. And she just wants you to know she made it. She's okay. She sends her love, right? Just like how when we travel and go on holidays, we call them when we get there. We're safe. We're okay, right? Yeah. And then he came to me afterwards and said, can I have a reading? And I said, you know, sure. He booked in. He wanted more. Like, that wasn't enough. And I get it. He lost his wife. Yeah. And he comes, and it's like crickets. I'm like, I don't know where she went. She's just not here. Yeah. And so I said, she's in the holding space. And he asked if he could come back again, like 8-10 months later. And he did. And I couldn't even open the door. It was like, get down, we need to talk, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like a chipmunk going, blah, 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 blah. And I had so much to say. And he says, does this mean my wife's not in the holding space anymore? I'm like, yeah. Yeah. That's what this means.
So that also shows you that they're the ones in control, really.
Totally.
Right?
We can set the intention. We can decide when we're open or closed. Can't control who comes through or what information they're going to bring through and how open they are to be able to bring it through. Yeah. And, you know, he could come again in a couple of years and come for a reading, and it may be not too much information. Doesn't mean she's in the holding space anymore. It could mean that she's continuing to evolve in her afterlife, and that she may not have much to say because she wants him to move forward with his life.
Right.
Yeah, some people think that as a medium, I just talk to them all day long and that I'm just like this open channel. And I go, no, they come through when they have something to say, and then they leave, and then it's done, and then the energy's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People don't get that. I'm like, no, they're not hanging around all the time.
No.
You know.
Like, oh, you're so lucky you can communicate with your grandparents all day long. I'm like, I haven't seen my grandma in months, right?
Exactly.
But if she has something to say, she'll let me know.
Perfect, yep.
Yeah.
So that's, okay, I think we've covered a lot of what's in the book, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You gotta read the book. But and there was something else when we were just talking about the continuing to grow and expand and to evolve. And we don't only do that here, we do that over there. Yes. And then you mentioned something about, and I found this really cool, about possibly reincarnating and being still in that space too?
Yeah, that's such a popular question I receive. It's like, how can you communicate with my loved one when I believe that they've reincarnated?
Yeah.
You have to believe in reincarnation first, right? And I feel that there's more evidence coming out that reincarnation is real based on children being able to relocate places like in England or different parts of Europe. So we know it's a thing.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, our spirit can't contain in this physical body. Right? Like we are endless. That's why we can think of somebody on the other side of the world, right? Is because we're not just limited to this physical body. So it feels very quantum physics like, but it's like there's no time, no space, and we can be here and there at the same time. So it may not make sense to our human physical minds, but I believe we can be in spirit, communicate, and also have a physical incarnation at the same time. Because that's what makes sense, that we're not limited to one physical body. And we're not 100% in our body because our spirit is just endless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you believe that, then that makes sense.
Yeah.
That you can be in many places at once.
And there's that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Which was amazing. That was a fun movie, wasn't it?
And I just think that title says it all. So when people say, how can they do that? I go, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
So we're looking at this crazy world and we're going, we're all energy.
Yeah.
Right? And you say that about energy cannot be destroyed.
No. Cannot be created, cannot be destroyed, but we can alchemize it and shift it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the case and we're all energy. I mean, we know that we can do distance readings and we can do distance healing. How exactly do you feel that works?
I feel just through mind connecting just takes us there. Because information we've received on the other side is anything that we envision, we create instantly. That's why it can get kind of boring. Like, ooh, the challenge is coming to the physical world. We have to manifest something in order to create it into our reality. And it takes forever. It's so slow. We think it's this fun game to come and play, right? But on the other side, it's all instant manifestation. Yeah. So with distance healing, we're working with a timeless energy. And we're just thinking of somebody and intending it, and then it appears.
Intention again.
Yeah. And so our ripple effect is huge because every thought and action we have, we realize we're all tapestry and connected. So we're either bringing more benefit to the world or less. So we start to become masterful at our power of intention and how we use it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. True.
But yeah, I mean, I say that people ask us, is it more powerful to come for a reading in person? I'm like, spirit's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not just in the room when you're here. I can feel you. I can think of you. I can see you. I can feel you. And I can feel your loved ones here right now too. I mean, sometimes it's nice to have in person because we get to have like the sentient feeling of the physical, but it's not necessary to connect.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that too. I know I have clients like you do all over the world.
Yeah.
You can connect to them whether they're in Australia or Budapest or
Makes no difference.
Mexico. It doesn't make a difference.
No.
I know when I first started out, I was told by one of my mentors, we couldn't connect with people in our own families. And that, I know, right? And then I started to, throughout my work, realize that's BS.
Yeah.
And I never understood where that came from.
There's a lot of beliefs that you have to undo.
Yeah.
Right? You outgrow beliefs.
Yeah.
Constantly. Some things I say and I'm like a year later, I'm like, I don't even know if I believe that anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Because you keep evolving and then things are no longer limiting to you. But your beliefs are very much supportive of how much you're going to let in. Right? And it's so important to stay open to more. Yeah. Right? Otherwise, if you believe that you connect to family, you literally just shut that valve. Yeah. So that you can no longer connect to family. Yeah. And that's the power of a teacher. They don't always know how powerful they are.
Exactly. And I know that I never knew my birth father. Okay. And when I started giving readings to family, especially his side of the family, who I had met when I was in my adult years, he would come through. Oh, and I got to know him through them. Yes. And I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, I developed a relationship with my birth father that I never had when he was alive. Yeah. And so I just started to really relish those readings and stuff because I got to feel him and see him and get to know his personality. And I was like, absolutely. This is totally healing. It really healed our relationship.
It's endless. It does. Death separates nothing. Yeah. You know, they could be here or in the spirit world, but they will always, if they connected to you, they'll always be there. An elder told me once that for every child born into this world, 7 generations of ancestors had to give consent. So there's absolutely no mistake who your birth parents are. Wow. Yeah, and when I heard that, it was like, you know, so much energy running through me and goosebumps, and I never forgot that. So if there is somebody has a birth parent that they never got to know or meet, it's like, know that you can still develop that relationship with them from the other side, and that will always be available to you, even if you don't know them. Yeah. And if you didn't like them here, or you didn't have much of a relationship with here based on personality, on the other side, there will be a softening and an opening, because they'll no longer be carrying all that baggage with them in spirit. Yeah. And if they see you hurting, they're most likely going to come through, because they always want to resolve discord, because the ancestral line, it affects them as well. Yeah. And it can help you with your physical life. Yeah. I agree. It's all about remembering why we came here. It's about joy. Yeah. It's not about getting anywhere, achieving. I mean, that's nice. Goals, sure, fun. But can you live? Can you be present? Can you be in joy?
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Okay, so I know we're running out of time. Okay. So I just wanted to ask, I know you tell us about teaching, because I know you teach development circles. And so tell me about teaching, and then where people can find you.
Yeah. So I teach 2 ongoing circles. Usually I have one like newer one, like it's a mixed group, and one more advanced group. And I've been running those for about 9 years.
Oh, wow.
I do have a new group starting this fall. In the winters, I usually do them on Zoom because the weather and it's at night and stuff. And more in summer, spring, it's more in person. I mean, I do private readings during the day and the week, and then I'll do a circle or workshop, you know, sporadically throughout the year. And then I also do services at Two Worlds and also Couchin, and sometimes I get invited to do online services anywhere in the world that they may have a spiritualist center. Nice. And I love being able to meet people on all levels. Like Spiritualist Church, like it's free, right? Just come, donation. Circle, long-term development, private reading, you know, we have different ways we can touch people. And I love all of it, you know?
Yeah. I can tell.
Yeah. And writing was so fun, because now it's like something in a form.
I know. And where can people find your book?
It's on Amazon. It's just type in my name, Nicole Powell, The Power, and it'll pop up right away. Yeah. And it came a Canadian Amazon bestseller the first week.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, wow. Yeah, it's awesome. You guys, I got to read this.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm a medium. I think I totally resonated with it. And then if you're developing, or you want some tips on, there's about sitting in the power in there. Yes. There's about what the clairs are. Yeah. There's a lot of great information.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted something tangible that people could read, take home, and also knowing that sometimes that's people's learning styles. They learn through reading, right? Yeah. I just want to touch all the senses to how people can absorb information.
Smart. So how can people find you for to book readings, say, for example?
Yeah, so I have online booking, Jane app. It's on my website. My website's just nicolepowell.ca.
Well, thank you. I hope you guys tune in and check out The Power, Call to Mediumship. Check it out on Amazon.
Yeah, and services. We're starting to have that online too, to be able to watch services online.
Oh, nice. Where do they find those?
It's on the website, the Two Worlds website.
All right. So Two Worlds Spiritualist Center.
You could just Google that and then it'll pop up.
There you go. That one's in Nanaimo.
Yeah.
Awesome. And online.
And online.
All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Paula. It's been wonderful.
Fantastic. Thank you.